Hello, friends, and welcome to episode number six. Wait, no, I almost said episode number 60. We just did episode number 60. This is episode number 61. I really need to stop losing my count. Anyway, so welcome to episode number 61 of Nostalgia Talk. I'm James, and joining me this time around is the one and only, and I hope I'm saying this right, JP Manoux.
That is perfect. Well done, James.
Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah.
It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to share episode 61 with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm partly French Canadian, and my grandmother, before she got married, her maiden name was LaRue, and it was spelt like how your last name is spelt with the OUX.
And
So
that's how you
I
knew
think
how to
so.
pronounce
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people assume it's Manoux
That's what
just
I thought too. Yeah.
because they're used to names ending or French words ending in a UX, I guess. And they go like, oh, that's O or a U something. And so like the OUX, they think might also be O, but you were correct. It's Manoux. And I am not French Canadian. My father's from France. And I grew up in Southern California, but I did live and work in Toronto for a long stretch of years. And that's where I met my American wife. We both thought we were meeting Canadians, especially because I had a French name. She assumed I was Quebecois, but no, I'm half a French person.
Well, that's very interesting. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, JP is an actor. You've probably seen him on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon. He was Stan on Aaron Stone, and I know that none of the listeners can, but I can. Right behind him is an Aaron
Oh,
Stone poster.
yeah.
He was
Just happened to have that on the wall behind me. Yeah.
merch plug.
Right.
He was Curtis the Caveman and Vice Principal Hackett in Phil of the Future, which is a
It's
really good
true.
show. I actually just started watching it getting ready for this, and it felt more like I was watching it for fun than for research. I love it.
I'm so glad. Yeah, it was one of those kids shows that was really fun for the adults to watch too. And now you are an adult.
Oh, God, don't
So
remind me.
you can relive all of it, have a new perspective. And it's so great that at least currently they're all the episodes are on Disney Plus.
Mm.
I know they're talking about overhauling the inventory there on that platform, but I hope that one sticks around because I know a lot of people who, just like yourself, have enjoyed revisiting it.
Mm-hmm. And he was also the voice substitute for Kuzco for various Emperor's New Groove related stuff. He was on Disney's House of Mouse, which is a show I loved when I was a kid, and The Emperor's New School.
It's all about me, theme music. Yeah, I was very lucky to get to replace David Spade when he wasn't interested. So I got to work with all of the voice cast from the original movie, and watch people like Jessica DeChico and Eartha Kitt win voiceover Emmys. I made other people look great.
Well, that's what Kuzco tried to do, just as long as you don't throw off his groove.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will do my very best in this episode not to throw off your groove as we begin with what is it that got you interested in acting and how did you become a part of it?
I was one of those kids in school who, was drawn to improv comedy before I knew what it was, really. I remember watching SCTV and Saturday Night Live, staying up way later than I should have, or going to bed and then sneaking back out and watching those shows and thinking that that was the stuff that I was most attracted to and thought was most interesting. I used to do assembly announcements in school and stuff, and I just was obsessed with like being on TV. So like before I knew that professional acting could actually be a career path, I tried to be a contestant on game shows. I was a Wheel of Fortune Teen Week winner. Yeah, I
Good
won
for you.
I won a trip to Tahiti and took my three best friends from high school with me. And yeah, I had a teacher in high school who knew that that was probably a path that would make sense for me, and he recommended I go to Northwestern University in just north of Chicago, where I could be surrounded by improv and sketch comedy places like Second City and the Improv Olympic at the time. Now they're called, IO. Now maybe they don't exist anymore. I don't know. But anyway, I used to be really fascinated with improvisation and sketch comedy. And that led to eventually graduating from the theater department there, moving out to LA without a real plan at all. And just knowing I wanted to be part of storytelling with smart, funny people. Did a lot of theater with my friends out here before I ever got an agent who could send me on commercial auditions. I started booking some commercials. At one point, I was the green grapes guy for Fruit of the Loom. I don't know how much marketing they did in Canada, but certainly in the United States, everyone knew the Fruit of the Loom guys. So I sold underpants on TV for a while, and then started doing guest star spots on sitcoms like Just Shoot Me with David Spade.
So you knew David Spade before you were cast as Kuzco then?
Yeah, I was in the sort of late 90s. I was lucky enough to do guest spot work on a bunch of different sitcoms, all that like must-see TV stuff. Myself and some other character actors you'd see us pop up on like Suddenly Susan and Just Shoot Me and Veronica's Closet and the Drew Carey
love that show.
Like, I did a lot of half-hour multi-camera sitcoms guest starring. And it was great because it was like the stuff I love doing already, live theater. There'd be 300 people in a studio audience, and you'd rehearse all week, and it would lead up to show night. So I did sitcom stuff, and then ended up getting involved with Disney Channel. And Phil of the Future was I did an episode of Even Stevens, and I might have done another kids show too, but Phil of the Future was the show you referenced earlier, and it opened up all kinds of possibilities to me because I got to play two different characters on the show. I got to direct an episode of the show, and it had special effects and fun stuff for the adult actors to do. Craig Anton and Lisa Sims, who were the parents, were hilarious. And then, when Disney launched Disney XD at the time, that was going to be more boy-centric because Disney Channel had become a lot of girls and princesses and stuff. Mm-hmm. They invited me to go be Stan the android, sidekick and protector to Aaron Stone. And that was great. That was stunts and bigger special effects and things like that. It was really like shooting, a half-hour sci-fi movie every week.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my journey through. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know that I would end up doing the specific genre stuff I ended up doing. Just kind of keep trying to be, the best I can be, tell the story the way it's written on the page with smart, collaborative people. It's just always fun, and one thing leads to another. Now I'm in a totally different phase. Right now I'm doing like more psycho stuff in crime procedurals. I just did a 2-episode arc on CSI Vegas.
Oh,
and so you can go back and look for Gene Farrow, my character in the most recent season of that. I got to be a really mean surgeon on ER. Like I'm a character actor, so different ages, different phases of my career are going to look different from each other, and that is terrific for me because it keeps me interested and stimulated.
Right. Now, did you do school plays at all?
I did school plays. I was even in children's theater before going to high school, but I'd sort of forgotten about it until recently. I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and
whoa!
At some point, I think my mother thought maybe we'd be like the Jackson 5 or something. So she put the 4 oldest of us into tap dance classes, and I did some children's theater with my brother Alfred. But it was, I didn't grow up in Los Angeles or any really close to Hollywood. I grew up in Santa Barbara, a couple hours north. It's not that far away, but before I got into my senior year of high school and suddenly was obsessed with game shows and wanting to be on TV. Before then, it was just for fun. I'd do school plays and things like that, but it was really that senior year of high school when I got some direction to go to the undergrad theater program at Northwestern.
Oh, nice.
And so there, actually, I didn't do as many play. I didn't really get cast in the big university theatrical productions. It was that whole experience for me, what was great about it was all the student run productions. So I produced small theater on campus with my friends, and I did a lot of improvisation and sketch comedy in a show they had there called the Meow Show that a lot of famous comic actors and creators have come out of. Anna Gasteyer, Seth Meyers. There's a whole bunch of really, really amazing people who happen to be part of that comedy group at Northwestern that continues to this day.
So you did both Curtis the Caveman and Vice Principal Hackett in Phil of the Future. And for any of the listeners who've never seen that show, I was with one of my friends the other week. I told her I'm interviewing somebody who was on multiple Disney Channel shows. She didn't really remember Phil of the Future. And so I said it was a show about this family from the future who visits the time that it's set in. And the amusing thing is that they accidentally adopt a caveman from the past while they're time traveling. And so you did Curtis the Caveman, a character from the past, and then you've got Vice Principal Hackett, who's a character from the current times. How is it established that you were going to be doing both characters?
It was not. It was
Oh.
no, that was really just happenstance. I was originally auditioning to be the caveman. The pilot episode for Phil of the Future was called The Out of Timers, and that was the original name of the series. Mm-hmm. And I got down to like the last two guys for Curtis the Caveman, and they had to decide between a little bald guy like me, or that they would dress up like caveman, or a like 7 foot tall like pro wrestler, because they thought maybe that would be funny to have this huge behemoth standing next to short Raviv Ullman. Then they called him Ricky Ullman on Disney Channel. But so they shot a whole pilot with the big guy. And when they tested it, apparently kids were scared of the big caveman. And also from a production standpoint, it was tough because every time they would shoot over the shoulder, if they'd be looking down at Phil, they would have to clean up the whole floor and take off the tape marks and all that stuff because they were always looking from such a high angle down on him. And when they would shoot over Phil's shoulder, looking up at the caveman, they would have to put in ceiling pieces because normally when you shoot on these sets, it's just walls, you don't see that there is no ceiling because all the lights are hanging up there. But when they would film, with this huge caveman, they would actually have to install ceiling pieces. Otherwise you'd see all the lights. And so it was a problem for production. The kids were scared of the big guy, and they just decided, forget the pilot. We're just going to start shooting the series, and maybe later we'll reshoot a pilot. And so they were like 2 or 3 episodes in, and they went, we loved you as an actor, but the caveman's going to be the 7 foot tall guy. We have this other role of Mr. Hackett, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do it. Oh, great! So I started off auditioning for the caveman, not getting it, playing Mr. Hackett. And then about 5 episodes in, when they went, we're going to reshoot the pilot, they started auditioning guys like me, like, shorter comedic actors to be more Phil's buddy, rather than a big physical opposition. And it was one of the days they were auditioning people. And I saw one of the producers and they went, yeah, we've seen some pretty good people and stuff, but like, we just can't get out of our head what you did. It sucks because like we should have cast you originally, we didn't, and now we wish we had. And I don't know why I had the balls to say like I'll do both parts, and they went okay. And so it was totally random luck that like I ended up getting to play the part that I had originally auditioned for, because I was in the right place at the right time when a producer was too busy thinking about other stuff and just went, all right, fine.
And the irony was like, as I was not really rewatching, I must have watched Phil of the Future when I was a kid. I just don't remember it. But as I was watching the episodes recently, one that always comes to mind is the episode where Hackett moves next door to Phil and his family, and they're like, okay, we have to hide that we're time travelers. It would have been so funny if they had Curtis and Hackett in a room together, because like I don't know if you're familiar with the Disney Channel show Liv and Maddie.
Sure.
But it was about twin sisters who were, for the most part, played by the same actor, but like if it was in the same scene, I think they had like a stand-in, I believe.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you go back and look, there's a handful of episodes where Hackett and Curtis are not only in the same episode together, but are in the same scene together.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I was trying to remember if
Yeah.
I saw any of that.
So I think Meet the Curtis is the introduction of Curtis, when the family suddenly realizes they had a hitchhiker. That's probably why the time machine crashed. I think they didn't realize that they had a hitchhiker, or a stowaway. But in that episode, yeah, I think Curtis actually bites Hackett on the ankle. And so, yeah, we would have a stand-in actor who looked a lot like me physically from behind. And so when I was playing Hackett, they would put the wig on him and the big, sort of bulky bath mat caveman outfit, and shoot over his shoulder at me. And then when we'd reverse, I would get in all the caveman stuff, and he would clean up and put on a sweater vest, and they'd shoot over his shoulder again at me. So you never saw his face on camera, but we had a stand-in who also played both parts. And there's that episode, but I think the best one probably for the two characters to be together, it might be called Dinner Time. It's definitely about the Diffees inviting Mr. Hackett over for dinner so they can try to present themselves as the perfectly normal American family. Because Hackett, of course, suspects that they're aliens or something like that. And in that episode, there's a lot of Curtis and Hackett running around. It's a good one.
Because of course they trusted Keely to keep the secret that they're from the future. Originally, we're like, oh crap, he told somebody. It's like, but I didn't just tell anybody. I told Keely. Keely's my best friend. And then they realized, okay, she's fine. And then they were like, all right, well, the neighbor's going to see it anyway for two reasons. Number one, lives next to us. Number two, works at the school. So maybe we should tell him. And then it's like, can you keep the secret? No.
No, they absolutely can't tell Mr. Hackett.
Yeah.
And he comes close to, he figures it out in another episode too. I'm trying to, it might be the one I directed, Where's the Wizard? Where and then they have to pretend they really are aliens to scare him into silence. Yeah, poor Mr. Hackett's psyche is just tortured through the whole series.
I've noticed, yeah. So how did you end up getting to direct episodes of that show?
It was something that I'd done for live theater before. And after doing enough episodes, I think a lot of actors experience this. If you do a lot of episodes as the same character or with the same, writing team and production team, you start to I think most people start to get curious about how they can help, how as an actor I can help the camera department. If I stand here and I move a little bit this way, then this angle will work for this shot, but also this line of dialogue. You start to get smarter about how all the pieces of the puzzle are put together. And I've always been curious about that stuff anyway. So after being on set for a while, I had asked, would it be possible to shadow a director? On an episode when maybe Mr. Hackett or Curtis weren't in the episode much, I would still show up on set and just ghost whoever was directing that week and watch and learn. And so I did that for a few episodes, and then I think it must have been the second season of Phil the Future was when I got my chance to direct.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then you did The Emperor's New School. And of course, prior to that, you had substituted for Kuzco. How did you get that part?
Yeah, that was that first time trying to do sound alike for David Spade was for the video game based on The Emperor's New Groove. And I had commercial agents, because I said earlier I was auditioning for commercials and stuff. And they had a voiceover department, but I wasn't represented by them. So I didn't have a voiceover agent, but they shared a lobby. And I happened to be in that lobby seeing my on-camera commercial agent one day when I heard someone behind the counter say oh, if only we had somebody who sounded like David Spade. And then I basically did my impression of Fran Drescher, who plays the nanny. When she laughs, it kind of sounds like David Spade's.
Oh my God, it does.
Whiny thing, yeah. And they were like, hey, that's pretty good. We have some copy here. Would you come in and read it? And it was so, again, it was being in the right place at the right time. And not being pushy, but letting people know I'm ready, and then got the invitation to like come into the booth and like just read the copy. We'll hear what it sounds like. If it's not good, we won't send it in. If it is, maybe we will. We'll see what happens. And so I had a couple of auditions for that, and got the part, the job of sounding like David Spade for the video game. Because again, I don't know, either he was too busy doing another show, or maybe he wanted more money than Disney wanted to pay, but they were like, we're going to hire a sound-alike for him. And I got the job. And then it wasn't like right after that came the opportunity to do Emperor's New School. It was at least maybe a year and a half or 2 years.
Yeah,
later.
the Emperor's New School
like
would have been when I was like 7 or 8, I think.
it was long enough after the movie that I was surprised when I did sign with them for voiceover representation, and they said, oh, they want you to read more stuff as David Spade because they're doing a TV show now based on the movie, and David Spade still doesn't want to do it apparently. So I was like, okay. And so that's how I started doing, Kuzco's doodles and all that stuff. And what was really nice was it started out trying with them saying like, we really want you to sound exactly like him. And then as we started doing episodes, I was given a little more slack, a little more like, you don't have to do his exact voice, but like we're trying to make the character have the same motivations. How would you do this this sarcasm or this whatever that we've written for these episodes? That the show really was different than the movie, but the character was intact. And so then I got to be more myself and have a little more fun with it, and still playing with like Patrick Warburton and Eartha Kitt and Jessica DeChico, those people. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you about Eartha Kitt. What was she like?
So I was never physically in the same room with her.
Okay.
But most of the time you come in, each character comes in and records separately. But there were a couple of opportunities I had where it was like over, it wasn't FaceTime, but it was like an audio, link. So she was recording it in New England somewhere, and at the same time that I was recording my half in Los Angeles and stuff. So I wish I had some good stories about actually hanging out with Eartha Kitt. Unfortunately, I don't. But I did get to cross paths with all kinds of other fantastic character actors that we had come in to do characters, or do voices, like, oh my God, Rip Taylor, Ben Stein, and a bunch of people. Yeah.
Nice. So you also were, as I was researching for this, I discovered you were a regular on the Wayne Brady Show.
The short-lived Wayne Brady Show.
Yeah. What was
Summer
that like?
Of 2001.
Mm-hmm.
That was an amazing little window of time where like ABC had decided that they were going to try to bring back the prime time for variety show format, like Carol Burnett Show, or Sonny and Cher, or
well, they would have a lot of competition with the Carol Burnett Show. I mean, nobody is going to play a dentist and make the other actor laugh on purpose.
Exactly. However, if you were going to do a new sort of small ensemble variety show where your main performer, in this case, Wayne Brady, sings and dances and does sketches and and even improvises, like they had the right guy. Wayne Brady is like an amazing talent. And so ABC was like, we're gonna do like 6 episodes and put them on in the summer, and we're gonna see how it does. And they aired those 6 episodes, and people liked it enough, and the network seemed happy enough with it and stuff, that they decided, okay, we're gonna pick you up for the back 7. It was like a 13 episode order or whatever. So we did like 6, then we're gonna shoot 7 more, and they're like, this is gonna be a new hit. Primetime variety's back. Everyone got really excited, and we aired, I think, of the last 7 episodes that we filmed, I think we aired 1, maybe 2, right before September 11th, 2001.
Oh,
yeah. And immediately after that, no one wanted to have any kind of comedy on TV for a while. It was like the whole country just decided like, we're all going to chill out, like lick our wounds and huddle together, family, close stuff, but not comedy. People weren't ready to laugh right away, or at least people were afraid to put comedy out there and see what people would think. So, ABC shelved those last like 5 episodes. And then I can't remember, maybe they aired like one more in like November or something like that, but it was we lost our momentum. And there's a handful of episodes that never got on the air at all. My God, I don't know if I own them. They're on like 3/4-inch video that I wouldn't even know how to play today. So
like VCR tape.
Oh yeah, but like the big VCRs, like
okay,
broadcast used to use back in the day. So
so like old film.
Well, it's like a giant VHS.
Okay, I have a VHS there, so
somewhere here in LA, I could find somebody who could play them, and I could get it transferred to digital. But I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not as good as I remember, but it was a terrific opportunity to get to play with Wayne and Jonathan Mangum, who's still his sidekick today on Let's Make a Deal, and they still perform improv all over the country together. And Missy Pyle and Brooke Dillman. I mean, those two women are so funny. They're such great actors. Still today, they pop up on all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. I just saw Missy Pyle on an old episode of 2.5 Men.
Oh yeah. So that like it was a great opportunity, but it was one of those things that really just lived in the summer of 2001, and I don't think you can go online and find episodes of it anywhere. I'd be really curious if somebody has tracked it down, or if maybe somebody recorded it from TV then, and like it was on their TiVo or whatever, and they can figure out how to get that on YouTube now.
Yeah, I was gonna say somebody probably might have posted it on YouTube or Daily Motion or something. You never know.
When we're done with the podcast, I'll go digging.
Yeah, same. Yeah. You also were in one of my very favorite childhood movies, Scooby Doo, where you were Scrappy Doo in his villainous form, which is such a surprise because Scrappy Doo is like, first of all, one of the friggin' cutest characters in animation. And finally, in this film, you get to see a totally different side of him that you wouldn't expect, because he was a little bit pissed off over the fact that he had been left and like, because we don't even get introduced to Scrappy Doo until later in the Scooby Doo series, so he's pissed off that he's been left out of everything on and off, basically.
Well, I think it's a very divisive take that you have on the character. There's certainly plenty of people out there who would say he is not the cutest character, he is the most annoying character. I
never thought of him as annoying. I just thought of him
I like that you champion Scrappy. That was I thought a very funny way to approach, like, how are we going to do a feature film about the Scooby Gang when we know we need a villain? And then somebody was like, some screenwriter was like, I always hated Scrappy too. I'm going to make him a villain. That was I think I was doing commercial stuff, and there was a producer who was working on that movie and brought me in first to do like loop group voice stuff, where it's like the atmosphere voices they're in the background of scenes on TV shows and in movies. You never can really identify exactly what people are saying, but it makes it feel like a restaurant scene is alive, or whatever atmosphere they're creating. And I think I was doing that, and because of my sort of high pitch kind of nasal quality, like asked if I could try to do a voice, and brought me for a table read. That was what it was. I did a table read before they had cast some of the characters for the movie, and I was told explicitly, like, you are not auditioning for the movie, you are not going to be in the movie, but we're going to give you like $50 or a bottle of wine or something, and say thank you for helping if you'll come in and read a few characters with Sarah Michelle Gellar, and have they're trying to figure out what edits they needed to make to the script, and they wanted to hear it come to life. And I think when I read the character of Scrappy, they went like, like that sounds a lot like him. Like that's pretty good. And so at first I thought I was going to be Scrappy, going like puppy power and all that stuff. Yeah, all right. A second. And Scrappy basically is Curly from the Three Stooges. I mean, it's the character is the same. It's the same also as Jabberjaw. That's the same Curly from the Three Stooges. But I mean, Scrappy might even say like, woo, 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 like, I mean, it's totally Three Stooges. But anyway, I thought I was going to be reading for Scrappy, but I think the guy who was currently doing the voice or had most recently done the voice for Hanna-Barbera, maybe in his contract it said that you couldn't do it without him or something. So like at the last minute when it was time to record the audio that would later be animated for the movie, they were like, yeah, you're not actually going to do Scrappy. It's going to be this other guy, but he transforms into like Scrappy Rex, and there's Brainiac Scooby and stuff. So I actually end up I voiced all of Scrappy, and then they ended up not using my voice for the Scrappy part. They ended up using my voice for Scrappy Rex and Brainiac Scooby, unless they really did use my voice and they just didn't credit me. I've never been able to tell. When I listen to
I think you were
can't
just
tell if it's
Scrappy
me or
Rex.
not me. Yeah, it's hard. I know it's me as Scrappy Rex and Brainiac Scooby. And it might be me as Scrappy. But they credited the other guy. I don't know.
Well, I think in the movie it was Scott Inez, I believe is his name, who is doubled for Shaggy and Scooby over the years.
Yeah. So, but that was the weird journey, to getting a credit on that movie. And it was because I was at the table read. I was, again, so much of like opportunity is just showing up, I mean, there's plenty of quotes about that.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience on one of the first shows I worked on. I've told this story on the podcast before, but I was working on this kids show that one of my friends was working on, and they invited me to be a part of it. And we were a short group of people. Like there was like only 5 production assistants, and they're like, okay, you do camera, you do sound, you just hold a boom or whatever, or basically whatever they needed us to do, we were there for. And they had an animated character who was a ghost, and they asked the production assistants, can somebody just read the lines and then we can time it, so that way the actor that's going to end up doing it, which they hadn't decided yet, they were like, we're going to have an actor loop it so that way we can put it over. And I said, I'll do it, just being as helpful as possible. I read the script and I looked at the producers. I was like, okay, I want to play this character. I want to be the actor that you choose for this. So they talked it over, and we actually did it live. They did not need to time it. We actually did it live so that way they could respond.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I used a different voice than they were hoping. But I did a sound test using the voice I ended up with, which was a Judge Judy impersonation. I went into the mic. I said, is not an answer for a sound test. And they're like, do that. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing Judge Judy for this character.
You did Judge Judy to get a job. I did Fran Drescher to get a David Spade job. Yeah. You never know. I mean, the lesson really is like,
did they at least know that you worked with David Spade?
Did Spade know, you're saying? Or did
the people auditioning you for Kuzco know that?
No, I don't think they knew that or cared so much. I think because I had already done some Disney Channel stuff, I'd already done Mr. Hackett and Kuzco. So like, the channel executives were like, oh, we like JP. Like, so if the animation guys think he's good for this, we'll sign off on it. We're okay with him. So that was it. But I don't think any of the producers knew or cared that I'd been a guest star on 3 episodes of Just Shoot Me before that.
I take it that David Spade had no idea either.
I'm sure when he found out, if he cared to find out who was voicing Kuzco, I'm sure it's like, oh, I know that guy. He's all right.
Another
we're not super tight, so it's not like he was going to call me and congratulate me. But
fair enough.
I'm sure if we crossed paths tonight at some event or something, he'd be like, oh, hey, yeah, right, JP, all right, yeah.
Well, another one of my past guests on this show is actually Pat Fraley. I don't know if you know him.
The name's familiar. Can you remind me how I might know Pat Fraley?
He's a voice actor. He's done Krang on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was a voice double for Buzz Lightyear. Okay. And it was around the time that he was doing Home Improvement, and he couldn't come in to do Buzz for other things that weren't the movies. So Pat doubled for Buzz, and
Tim Allen, yeah.
And I asked him, was Tim Allen aware of it? And Pat had said, I've never met Tim Allen, and if I did, the last thing I would do is tell him that I played Buzz.
Right.
And so
Right.
I very stupidly said, "Well, Pat, Tim Allen, if you're listening, this is the guy that doubled for you." Pat's like, "Well, thanks a lot, James. He's going to be over to my house with a gun."
No. That's funny though. I'm sure if you had created, you know, an iconic character and you knew that somebody else was also performing that character, you'd be a little curious, wouldn't you? When you want to like just just hear how close it was. But
Because when Tom Hanks couldn't come in, it was actually his brother Jim that
yeah,
doubled for Woody.
no,
So.
that one I suspect that Jim did not audition for that part. I would suspect Tom said, "I got a good guy who sounds like me." Yeah.
Did you?
It's kind of like when people pick their own stunt double, you know.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw Tom Hanks on, what is it, the Graham Norton show, I think it is, but Graham Norton's got a plush of Woody and he pulls the string and he's like, "You listen to this." And then it has an audio track. It's like, "Is that you?" Tom's like, "No, that's my brother Jim."
Yeah. Yeah. And I did, it's funny, I did the voice on a toy for Monsters Inc. Steve Buscemi either didn't want to or Disney didn't want to pay him. I can't remember, and I wouldn't know anyway. But it was for his character, the purple chameleon, what's his name?
Talking about Randall
Boggs, exactly.
from Monsters Inc.
So, yeah, I'll be the top scarer if it's the last thing I do. It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah. May the best monster win. I plan to.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Buscemi toy that was inside Happy Meals, I think that was my voice coming out of it. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I think I had one of those when I was a kid.
I don't have one. I wish I did.
Well, I don't think I have it anymore.
If I had the Phil of the Future time machine, I'd go back and buy all the Happy Meals that my toy was in.
Well, to all you listeners out there, maybe if I find some of my old Happy Meal toys, maybe I'll do a nostalgia talk bonus dedicated to my old Happy Meal toys.
That's a great idea.
So, talking about stuff with Disney, we talked a little bit about Aaron Stone in the intro. How did you get to be a part of that?
Yeah, so Aaron Stone was a direct consequence of Phil of the Future, I think, and Emperor's New School that were kind of happening at this. Like, this Emperor's New School was on the tail end of Phil of the Future, and I was working on ER. I was playing a very mean surgeon on that show, and I'd recurred for a few episodes, but I was definitely not going to become a series regular. They had such a huge cast. And they also weren't sure how many more seasons they were going to do. This was already like season 13 and 14. You know, so I think they were waiting for Warner Brothers or NBC to greenlight a season 15. So there's no guarantee that I would have more work as that character. And then Disney was launching Disney XD, and that was why that opportunity came up. So yeah, it was. I did audition for it. I do remember going through a few rounds of auditions, but yeah, once you become a known commodity, a trusted, they know that I can, make the day as an actor. Like I'll be quick and I'll be exactly what they need for a half-hour single camera show, which has a lot of pressure because you have to shoot a lot of pages every day, and you got to have a lot of energy. And they knew I could do that based on Phil of the Future, so that was why Aaron Stone happened for me. Nice. Also, I think my bald head probably helped. They thought I looked like an android. Yeah. Not the first time. I've played robots a few times.
I also saw you on another one of my favorite shows, not Disney Channel, but actually Nickelodeon. You were on an episode of the Thundermans.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, as a
really fun.
As a very cranky mall security guard.
Oh yeah, I think I stole the watch or something. And then blamed it on a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was nefarious. I was evil. And I got my comeuppance. I mentioned before how like some actors will have a stunt person maybe they work with all the time, or a stand-in. They always like that person always gets a job when the main actor gets a job because they come as a team. That was a show where like I couldn't believe the stuntman they got for me, because spoiler alert, that's not me actually doing a backflip into that fountain at the end of the episode. They had like a Cirque du Soleil guy who shaved his head so he would look like me, And luckily, the clothes that I was wearing as my character that they put him in, hid all of his big muscles, so you couldn't quite tell how different we were physically. But yeah, that episode ends with a really fun stunt.
That was actually one of my very, very favorite episodes of that show. So.
Oh, I'm glad. Oh, that's lucky me. I'm associated with the one you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Chris Tallman, who plays the dad on the Thundermans, he's a fantastic actor, really great improviser.
Oh yeah,
I've known him forever too. I was really glad about that show.
That's cool. Yeah, I always love him as Hank, where he's like, always kind of talking about him being retired, but really, is he ever really gonna retire? He still always feels the need to fight crime whenever.
Yes.
Thunderman.
Am I remembering correctly? I think I read something a little while ago that they're either bringing back the Thundermans or there's going to be a Thundermans movie or something.
That is correct.
Is that still in the works or did it happen and I missed it?
I think they've just finished it because I follow the cast on social media and they've been posting like I don't want to say updates because I know that the way that the business works, you can't really give away anything about it, but
it looks like they're working.
Yeah, something. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking forward to that.
Same. I'm looking forward to talking to one of the producers and writers of the Thundermans coming up. I just announced that episode.
Oh, very cool.
Well,
remind them that your favorite character in your favorite episode was me in the Mall Time Crooks.
Mall Time Crooks. Yeah, that was the name of it. Yeah.
And that if it's not too late, they should bring that guy back for the movie.
I think the movie actually might be finished.
Well, damn it.
If they make a sequel, then maybe.
We should have done this podcast a month ago.
And you were also in the movie Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, that was an amazing day on set. It was just one day. And again, that came out of doing a table read. I didn't audition for that. I was brought in because casting director knew that I could do a bunch of different voices and stuff. And that I, could read a script at the right pace for whatever their needs were for hearing the rhythm of it and stuff. And so I think I did a table read of that. And if I remember correctly, yeah, they were like, this isn't an audition. You're not going to get anything. And then they were like, would you like to be this, this cop with the one, he's got a rubber booby. I think that's how that one went down. Because sometimes, if a part's going to be just one line, one little bit, they won't even have like auditions for it.
Oh yeah.
Michael Bay gave me, a chance to improvise in the first Transformers movie as like a man on the street being interviewed. And then I played a clone who had half a brain in The Island movie with Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor. And neither of those parts, they're in the script, but they didn't have auditions for those parts. It was just Michael Bay knew me from auditioning for a bunch of his commercials for years, the commercials that he was directing. And so it was like, hey, bring in the little bald guy. Which is great. You get a call and it's like, oh, to show up? All right. So that was Meet the Fockers. One line is he's got a rubber booby. That was one of those kind of things.
Right. And you also were a regular in the TV show Spun Out alongside of fellow Canadian and one of my very favorite actors, actually, Dave Foley.
Yeah, what an honor, man. Dave Foley and all of the Kids in the Hall guys, they were heroes to me when I was in college doing sketch comedy. We would do rehearsals and we'd write and we'd, work with the band. We'd be getting ready for our own shows. And then we'd go home and we'd watch episodes of Kids in the Hall and be like, oh, we get a little depressed because we're never going to be that good. I loved that show. My best friend. So yeah, when I found myself in Toronto working on Aaron Stone, and when Aaron Stone ended and I was still pursuing jobs in Canada, and that came up, I was like, I couldn't have been happier. Yeah, Dave was a big influence on me. And I think he's actually performed. I don't know when you're going to put this podcast out, but there's an event happening tomorrow night here in Los Angeles where they're going to screen the movie he made called The Wrong Guy. And it's not a Kids in the Hall movie. It's a movie that Jay Kogan directed. And it's written by Jay Kogan and another actor, Dave Higgins. If you saw him, you know who he is. and Dave Foley is the lead, and it's kind of like a comedic Alfred Hitchcock movie, and it's fantastic. But anyway, Dave Foley is comedy hero of mine, and I was so happy I got to play with him for a couple seasons on Spun Out, and I'm glad that younger audiences are discovering Kids in the Hall for the first time, and getting to appreciate that genius.
It's funny stuff. It really is.
Yeah, dope. And I don't know, did you see the most recent incarnation of Kids in the Hall? I think it was.
I don't think I have. No.
Yeah,
I think I might have heard about it.
It came out about a year or two ago. It might have been 2 years ago already. But if you search Kids in the Hall Amazon, they did like 10 episodes, I think. They're much older now.
Oh, but, yeah. That happens, but at least it's the familiar cast.
But they're no less brilliant and funny. They're great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So to wrap it up, you've had a lot of like one-shot characters in movies and TV shows, like characters that maybe even just like have one line, but some people probably would recognize you for them. Do you have any favorites at all?
I mean, at the time when we were doing it, I could have never predicted how much I'd get not recognized for it, but people like wanting to find out who the guy was who played that character, and that's Euro Trip. It's a movie. David Mandel, Alec Berg, and Jeff Schaefer, I believe is his name. They were sort of like a three-headed director. They were all comedy writers, and they all wrote and directed this movie together. It's called Euro Trip. I'm sure you can find it. And a bunch of American teenagers go on a long trip through Europe and have ridiculous things happen to them. And when they get to Paris, one of them gets in a mime fight with a street performer. And that's me in silver makeup as the robot mime in Euro Trip.
So you just get cast as robots.
Apparently. If your listeners are not experienced, I recommend they check out Euro Trip, and you'll see Fred Armisen is very funny as an Italian guy who keeps groping them on a train. Who else is in there? There's a bunch of great people in that movie, but that's one where like at the time we filmed it, I was like, this is fun and this is funny, but like I don't know if it'll turn into anything. And then that movie's it's got to be like 20 years old now, and like people love it. So I'm glad I'm associated with it.
That's awesome. Well, that's all I've got here. Is there anything else you want to say to wrap up?
No, I mean, we started this. You and I were talking. I don't know if we were recording at the time, but we were talking about the upcoming actors strike. Here's hoping that the studios and the unions come to an agreement soon, so we can all get back out there making funny shows for all of you to enjoy.
And future stuff to talk about on this podcast.
Exactly.
It's going to be nostalgia eventually. Let's be totally honest.
James, I hope you'll have me back.
Well, you know what? I'll probably take you up on that. Thank you very much for joining me.
Cheers.
And for all you listeners out there, as you guys know, there's a lot of Nostalgia Talk stuff coming up. Not only is the show on Facebook now, but just joined Twitter with Nostalgia Talk. Link in the description. Twitter.com/NostalgiaTalkYT. I tried to put in Nostalgia Talk YouTube, like for the Facebook page, but it wouldn't let me put in that many characters. And I mean, I know that Twitter's so a lot of people are saying that Twitter's dead, but I mean, come on, Nostalgia Talk, going right back to the early 2010s here. So follow Nostalgia Talk on Facebook and Twitter for updates. I also, as you guys know, I post a lot of memes on the social media pages based upon old TV shows. So lots of jokes, lots of announcements, lots of fun stuff coming your way, and that'll all be happening really soon. Peace.